Well, hello everybody. Okay, we got that flipped. Let me bring this up on my laptop right over here. So, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining me here in the studio. This is Carla, and this is Good Friday. So, um, a little bit of a change of what I was going to do. Originally, when I do my newsletters, I put in a schedule of the products that I'm going to use, and excuse me. And um, when I planned out all the projects, I originally had another stamp set in which I was going to use the "You Are Beautiful" stamp set. And then I was thinking of the courage and faith to go with it. Now, the "You Are Beautiful," this one I own. This one's mine. What I originally wanted to do, I didn't think I was going to be able to do only because I didn't have the bundle. One of my dear friends and also someone that is a part of the Blue City Stampers team. She actually had the stamp set. So this past weekend, I saw her. She brought it with her. So I was able to put cards together based off of that bundle. Now, in the Stampin' Up! Catalog, whether it is our current annual one, which is about to retire, and then we also have our mini one that's from January to April. Excuse me. You would notice in that mini catalog, there are no sets that are really geared for Easter like in the past catalogs. We usually had a few, whether it was bundles or there was a suite or something that would have more than one. In the mini catalog, there is the Storybook Moments suite where it has little bunnies and critters and stuff like that, and it does have a Happy Easter or Easter greetings greeting in it. That's the only one that's in the catalog. So in our online exclusives, there is a bundle that is called Faith Collection. Again, I didn't have it, at least I don't have it yet. But my dear friend Andrea, she had it. She came over this past weekend and she brought it. She let me borrow it, and I'm so appreciative of that. Thank you so much, Andrea. And so the three projects that I'm going to be making for you tonight are going to really feature this bundle. Now, in addition to this bundle, one of the cards that I am making, I'm also going to bring in the Courage and Faith stamp set. And I'm going to use this greeting right here. May the Lord bless and keep you. That's number 624. Um, and let's see, anything else? So usually on Friday nights, I go live at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, and I create three projects. And then at the end of the live, I do a wheel of names and I give away, excuse me, those three cards that I made. So for tonight, this is a kind of live. So just like as if I was going live, it would be 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. This video, I'm actually recording this video in private mode on Monday, April 14th. And this is going to be scheduled to post out here on my YouTube channel at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So it would almost be like as if I'm live, but I'm not live. I also don't have it set as premiere because premiere would be it when it's airing, then I would be able to communicate and chat with you watched at the same time, and we can chat in the chat box. But uh this Friday. It's Good Friday, and at my church, we are having a Good Friday service that just so happens to start at the same time. So that's why this is recorded. Being at church, it's important. I need to be there. A lot of things have happened that, just have kind of altered my mood, I guess you can say. So it's a place that I really truly need to be. So I'm kind of looking forward to that service. So again, now the cards that I'm making, we won't be doing, a wheel of names at the very end. So that's really the only differences that there are between me actually being live and then pre-recording it. So usually on my Friday videos, I also do a little bit of housekeeping, and that's where I just basically any announcements or anything that's going on. So the only thing that's really going on right now, we're kind of like in this transition period from one catalog to another. So our current annual catalog, our current January to April mini catalog are going to be retiring soon. So I think, is it March 4th or March 5th, I believe, or maybe the 6th. I'm not 100% sure. I don't have a catalog in front of me. Um, those catalogs will retire, and then the new annual catalog will then go live. We won't see another mini catalog until a few months from now, and that's going to be the holiday mini catalog. In addition to the catalogs, we also have online exclusives. So every other month, there is new stuff that comes out. I think every 2 or 3 months. It's hard to keep track of everything because there's always so much going. So every 2 months, there's going to be stuff that's added to the last chance list. Now, the last chance list used to only be those products that were retiring out of a catalog that was basically about to retire. They changed it up a little bit to where it not only includes items that are from, like in this case, we have an annual catalog and a mini catalog, but then it also includes items that are in the online exclusives. So between that and the clearance rack, all those items go into the last chance list. Now, with the last chance list, it's basically while supplies last. So what they've done is items that are in there. If you look in the online store, I do have a link for that in the description of the video. When you go to the online store, anything that you see that says last chance, that's the stuff that's going. Now, some of these things, they are marked down. If you Now you have to be mindful if there is a bundle that you see that is going away, do take a peek at the stamp set and the set of dies, or if it's bundled with a punch, look at the prices because if the stamp set and the dies are marked down, you're definitely going to get it's going to be cheaper if you purchase those separately as opposed if you purchase it as a bundle. The bundles are discounted at 10%. However, they don't drop the price any more than that on the bundles. So pay attention to what the price of the two components that are part of that bundle. If the two of those are marked down, then you definitely want to purchase them separately rather than together with that only that 10% bundle pricing. One of the other things too that they've changed up. So there are other products that are actually going to carry over out of these catalogs. Now, they may not necessarily be printed in the new catalogs, but they will be listed under the online exclusives. So when they're in the online exclusives, it's hard saying how long they will last in the online exclusives. Every 2 months, Stampin' Up! Is going to take, items that are in those online exclusives and they're going to move it over to Last Chance. So if there is something that you see out there that you like, that you want, go ahead and grab it. As a matter of fact, I am like kind of kicking myself. Now, this has been in the catalog, for the whole year in our annual catalog. And I actually thought I had ordered it. I mean, I literally marked and highlighted my catalog showing that I had it. But then when I got to looking, I actually didn't order it, and it was this stamp set. And the other day, on Saturday, when I looked at the discontinued list, this stamp set is now gone. In the past, Stampin' Up, when we had a retiring catalog, because the stamp sets were made in-house, they used to make the stamp sets up until a week before the catalog retired. Well, that's not the case anymore. So if it says low inventory, then once it's sold out, then it's gone. So now this stamp set, I'm actually borrowing from another friend and team member, Yvonne. She was able to get it before it went away. So now that it's gone, now I'm going to have to go out, whether it's Split Coast Stampers or somewhere, and try to see if anybody is selling the stamp set, because any of the stamp sets that have, Bible scripture in it, I really like those, and I really would like those in my collection. And yeah, this was definitely one that I wanted to get, and I was really bummed when I saw that it was gone. So if there is something that you see that you like, don't hesitate to get it. There's a lot of things that every day they are now becoming discontinued because they are now sold out. For example, wild wheat cardstock, 8.5 by 11 cardstock. That was kind of hit and miss color. Some people loved it, some people couldn't stand the color. Yet that pack of cardstock ended up selling out before the last chance list even came out. So that color was part of an in color collection that is leaving at the end of this catalog. Not much later, the cardstock and boho blue and pebble path, those ended up selling out as well. As of right this moment of me recording this, I don't know where things stand with any of the other colors. But if there's something that you want, take a peek out there in the online store, look under last chance list and see if there's anything there that you really want. And then I would say don't hesitate on ordering it, because you just never know when it's going to go away. Now, I will make mention um, that, well, this is going to be after the fact. So when I'm recording this, this is on the night of April 14th, so on Monday. So April 15th, Tuesday, April 15th, I believe it's 8 a.m. Mountain Time for, I believe it's 6 hours. The Stampin' Up! Website is going to be down. The reason why is because Stampin' Up! Is changing their rewards program. So in the past, if you either had a group order or an individual order that was $150 or more, you received Stampin' Rewards. So it started off at 10%. The higher amount of the order, depending on what tier it was at, the percentage would go up a little bit more. And then in that order, you were able to use those Stampin' Rewards to choose free product to add to your order. Well, that is going to go away along with host codes that demonstrators were using. Those are going to go away because the new rewards program, oh, the other thing that goes away too, is if you had a much larger order, so if it was like $450 or more, you were able to choose whether it was a bundle or I believe well, sweets were not included in it, and the Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine was not included. And I think even the pay-as-you-go paper pumpkin kits, I think those were the only three things that you weren't able to get at 50% off. So if you had an order that was $450 or more, you were able to, whether it was a stamp set or a punch, set of dies, a bundle, you were able to get that item at 50% off. So that's going away as well. The new Stampin' Rewards program is going to be with minimum orders of $20, depending on whatever the amount of your order is. Now, this is the retail amount. This is before, like, say, any discounts, any like the shipping and the tax that's added to it. If the minimum order is like $20, you receive 10% of that. So if you have $100 order before the shipping and the tax, you would receive $10 in Stampin' Rewards. What happens? You do have to create like a profile out there on the Stampin' Up website. If you do not, then you won't be able to redeem those rewards. You'd end up losing them. But when you go out there, you create a profile and you place an order. Again, starting at $20, you receive 10% of whatever that retail amount of your order is. Then your rewards, they will accumulate in your account. And now the rewards, the expiration date on them is a year, so 365 days, and you would redeem those rewards on your next order. Now you can choose to use none of it. You can let it accumulate, and then you can collect them, and then you can use them, like say if you're going to place a bigger order, and you can put those rewards towards that bigger order. So that's what's changing with that. So they're going to have the website down on the 15th. So again, you're watching this after the fact. You're watching this on the 18th. So it would have already been done. So the new rewards program that would be started by the time you see this. Also, the new catalogs, like I said, that new catalog, I'm guessing here that I think it's the 6th or the 7th of May that it'll go live. If you are here in the United States, if you are not working with another demonstrator and you would like a paper copy of that catalog, my email address is in the description of the video. Please send me an email. Let me know, well, that will be the only catalog that's live. Just let me know that you want that catalog. If it's before the end of the month, and if you would like a copy of the current mini catalog and the current annual catalog as well, just let me know. Like I said, in the email, have your full name, your mailing address, let me know what catalogs, and then I will mail it off to you. And again, if you're not working with another demonstrator, if you've been ordering with another demonstrator, please request the catalog from them. A lot of times, if you have placed an order with them within a certain time frame, they will automatically send it out to you. Now, with the cost of mailing out catalogs, sometimes, demonstrators, will send out maybe a message through like a newsletter or something, or maybe they have like a subscriber list, a distribution list of people that have ordered from them. because again, there is a cost of not only getting the catalogs, but then also mailing them out. So some people may not want the paper catalog. Maybe they just want to look at it online. So, yeah, so if you're working with somebody else and you're ordering through them, please, request a catalog through them. And again, to get a catalog from me, to order from me, you would have to be in the United States, or if you are overseas and you live on a military base and have an APO address, then yeah, Stampin' Up! Can ship things to you, and I can also send a catalog to you as well. So I think that is all I have. I will be live next the following Friday. I don't think there's anything going on then. So we'll be getting a little bit closer to when that catalog will be done. So there'll be a little bit more that I talk about on that. Other than that, that's pretty much all that I have. I do a monthly newsletter. In that newsletter, I do have a schedule of all of the product that I'm going to be using in my videos. So that's my Throwback Thursday, the Friday Night Live. Paper Pumpkin, I can never give a definitive date. It's just a matter of when I get it. And then I do a monthly Christmas card inspiration that I try to get that done on the first of the month. So I'll list everything that I'll use in those videos. Any Stampin' Up! News I put in there, anything that I may be doing, I put in there. And then another thing that I add every month, Stampin' Up! Will come out with either 2 or 3 new kits in their kits collection. For this month, they came out with 3. So I will include pictures and descriptions of all that, along with the upcoming paper pumpkin that you still have some time to subscribe to it if you would like. So if it doesn't matter whether you're here in the US or not, if you would like to receive my newsletter, which I typically just send out once a month, unless somewhere in the middle, Stampin' Up! Has a special promotion, say something like free shipping or something like that. That's usually the only time that I'll go and I'll send emails. So I don't bombard you with emails when it comes to my newsletter. Again, anybody can request my newsletter. It's just I can't ship product and you can't order product from me if you're in another country. So if you would like to subscribe to my newsletter, that link is in the description of the video. Just click on that. You just add your first and last name and then your email address, and then you're in my newsletter distribution list. And when I go to create it, then when I send it out, you're on that list. I think that is all I have. The one other, now there is one thing that I will mention. When I do my Friday Night Lives or my kind of lives, I create a PDF for those projects. In my PDFs, I do have a link right here. So this is the Friday Night Kind of Live with today's date, 4/18. If you click on this link in the PDF, it will bring you right back to this video. So in here, I have the list of supplies. There's pictures of the projects. There's also dimensions, and if I did any stamping, I'll let you know what colors of ink I used, what I colored with, and all of that. So it's very easy to follow, and you can follow along with the video if you want to recreate the projects. So in the description, if you look at that paragraph just above the list of supplies, excuse me, hold on. My throat's getting a little dry. I don't want to start coughing. Sorry about that. So that paragraph right just above the supplies, there's a link there that's going to take you to my Google Drive. And I have PDFs out there going back from January 26th of 2024. Everything is dated by that Friday date, and then I have the name of the whether it's the stamp set, the suite or the bundle that I used. So there's a whole lot of them out there. I didn't even count, but there's a whole lot of them out there. So if you're interested in any of them, just go ahead and click on that and see what's out there. And if there's something that you like, go ahead and download. And again, all of the PDFs are going to have the link that's going to take you back to that video that I did featuring the projects you see in this PDF. Okay, so with that, I believe we got everything covered. So we're going to get started on our projects. So for my projects, like I said, originally I was going to use the stamp sets because I didn't think I was going to be able to do anything with this Faith Collection bundle. And this is what I wanted to really use for Good Friday. So when I was able to get it, thank you, Andrea. I said, okay, we're going to go with this. And I really like how these projects came out. Now, I will tell you that I did case three other demonstrators when I did these projects. I did change it up just a little bit than what they had done. The first card is basically just a regular card. The next two cards that I do, those will be fun folds. So very cool looking cards. So let me kind of move this out of the way and let me get started here and let you know what I have. So for my card base, I have a piece of Granny Apple Green. This measures 11 by 4 1/4, and I've scored it at 5 1/2. I have a piece of Pecan Pie Cardstock that measures 5 by 3 3/4. And then I have a piece of basic white. This measures 4 7/8 by 3 5/8. Now again, a lot of things I like to do in advance, like whether if it's stamping, die cutting, that type of thing. We're going to be doing some stuff to this piece of basic white cardstock before we end up embossing. So we'll be embossing this piece after we do our ink blending and our stamping on it. Then I have scrap pecan pie. So on the solid cross, I brought in my blending brush and I had ink blended some pecan pie ink on it. And you can see that it's a little bit darker than just the plain cardstock. I did want it a little bit darker because I then took another piece of pecan pie. I added an adhesive sheet to the back of it, and I die cut this more detailed cross, and then this is going to layer right over the top of my solid one. So you'll see those darker parts of that cross underneath showing through those die cut pieces. And then out of a scrap, a piece of basic white, I had stamped the double lilies and the single larger one. And then this little itty bitty narrow label die, this is out of basic white. I had die cut that out of the Countryside Corners die. So it's this really, excuse me, it's this really tiny banner right here. Now, because the stamp set is photopolymer, I can easily see exactly where I'm going to stamp, and the greeting that I'm going to put in there is just going to fit in there. Okay, so I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to do a little something to my card base. So I'm going to bring in some scrap, well, this is grid paper, and I'm going to fold and I'm going to burnish my card base. Now, this particular card, I am casing Amy Kunders. Now, when she did hers, on her card base, she added a piece of designer series paper to the whole background of her card. She had used designer series paper that was a celebration offering. So she used a print out of the Toadstool Gardens designer series paper. So there's a pattern in here that's got all the greens in it. And so because this is retired, my Friday videos, I try to use product that you can still get if you want to recreate. So because I really didn't have, another pattern of paper to really use, I decided that I'm going to add some decoration to this, but I'm going to do it in the form of stamping. So in the stamp set, there is this palm frond that's right here. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to stamp that around the outer edge of my card. Now I don't have to worry about doing the middle because this is going to layer over the top of it. So I don't need to like fill that whole card base in. So let me pull that stamp out and we'll get a block. And then I'm going to bring in my Granny Apple Green ink. Okay, and then ink this up. And just going to randomly go around the outer edge. So we'll put this one there. And I'm just flipping my stamp so that way got them coming in all different directions. And then see, we can add one there. And then we'll add another one right there. Okay, so we'll put that aside. So again, this piece is going to lay right over the top of it. So we don't need to worry about filling all of that in. Okay, so then for this piece of basic white, I am going to bring in a blending brush, one of my larger blending brushes, and my Daffodil Delight ink. And pick up some ink, and then I'm going to add some of this ink in the middle area. So I want to add kind of like this glow of this yellow. Get a little bit in the middle. Now the middle part, for the most part, is going to be covered up with that cross, but I want to make sure that I get, if there's an area where the cross doesn't cover, then so make sure that I got that kind of filled in. Okay, so we're just going to do that. We're going to leave it at that. We're not going to go crazy with it. And then let me just do this kind of to get this ink dried a bit, because we are going to then stamp with our Granny Apple Green another image. Actually, I'm going to set that aside. We'll let that dry a little bit before I go and I stamp with my Granny Apple Green. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my two lilies. I'm going to take my light Daffodil Delight blend, and I'm just going to add some color from the center out. I'm not going to color all the petals fully in with this marker. And then we'll do this one here. One thing I noticed with the Stampin' Blends, it seems like all the shades of the yellows tend to have a really, really strong alcohol smell as opposed to what some of the other colors are. It's really strong. Okay, so then I'm going to take, we'll take these, we'll set these aside. When we place them on our card, we're going to add some Wink of Stella to those. Okay, I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat. And we're going to stamp our greeting on this little itty bitty tag. And for this one, I'm going to use God is Love. And which one is that? This one right here. And this is just going to fit. So let's get that on our block. And then I'm going to bring in my Memento Tuxedo Black ink. I've mentioned this before. This, when you get the white ink pad with the re-inker, the ink pads come uninked. And so this was a little tip that I saw that other demonstrators did. So it's nothing that I invented or anything. You take an uninked white ink pad, your Memento Tuxedo Black ink re-inker, and you ink up your foam pad. And then when you stamp, your Memento is going to be a nice, bold, deep black, like as if you stamped with stays on, but you didn't. So for this, because this pad's pretty inky, I'm going to lightly tap the ink on there because I don't want a whole lot of ink on it. And then I'm going to stamp this right in the middle. Hopefully I'm in the middle. It's down a little bit, but that's okay. But it just fits into that little tag. All right, and we'll close this up. And again, these lilies were stamped in this Memento Tuxedo Black ink as well. Okay, so we'll move this. And then I'm going to take my cross here and I'm going to remove this paper from the adhesive sheet. Now, when you do this, you take your piece of cardstock, you add your adhesive sheet to the back of it, and then you die cut with the paper side facing down. And then all you have to do is just pull this out. Now there's some pieces here that are still stuck in there, so we're going to pull those out and try not to mess with the adhesive too much because I do want this to stick. So I'm going to remove these pieces. Little tiny pieces that then stick all over you. You can't get them off your fingers. I get it. And there's one more. Whoa, don't want to tear it. Let me get my piercing tool to get that out. Okay. Did I get it, or is it stuck under a nail? It likes to stick either under your nail or on your finger. Okay, so then this is going to line up perfectly with that solid cross. So take it and just line it up, and then make sure that it's lined up. And whoops, the bottom of it shifted. So I want to press that. I'll use my phone folder just to press down so that way it sticks. Okay, so there is our cross. Okay, and then we're going to take our piece of basic white. Let me get my piercing mat again. And then this time I'm going to pull in this stamp right here that has the cross with these palms on it. Let me get a block for that. And then we're going to stamp this right in the middle of this piece of basic white. Okay, and then this, I'm going to bring it down so I can see where I'm putting it. I'm going to place this right in the middle, like so. And hopefully I got that straight. Yep, that looks good. Okay, we'll close this up. Okay, and then we're going to emboss this. So I'm going to kind of move some of this stuff out of my way. And I'm going to emboss that using the So Swirly embossing folder. So let me bring in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine here. Now this is a regular embossing folder. This isn't a 3D. So for this, you want your sandwich to be your #1 base plate, and then you want 2 of your #3 cutting plates. So these plates are definitely like well loved. They're a little, you know, warped, just a little bit, but they'll still work. So I'm going to take my embossing folder and I'm going to take this and I'm going to line it up kind of like there's a line at the, it's hard to see because I'm so close, but there's a line at the bottom if you want to line something up to be straight. But with the design on this embossing folder, because it's all swirly, it really doesn't matter if you have it lined up straight or not, only because the pattern is. So I'm going to take my embossing folder, put it in between my 2 cutting plates, and then I'm going to run this through. Now you don't want that plate #2, which is that little thin white adapter plate that you use when you're cutting your dies. So we run this through. And now we have our piece of basic white that's been ink blended, stamped, and now it's embossed. So let me get this all out of the way. Okay, so now let's assemble our card. So let me get my liquid glue. And I'm going to glue this emboss panel now to my pecan pie. Okay. And then we'll center this like so. And try and get this straight. Okay. All right, and then we're going to put dimensionals on the back of this. So I'm going to put a few on here. I don't want it sagging in the middle. Okay. And then we'll put this on our card base. Okay, and then make sure that our card's opening the right way and we don't put it on upside down. And then we will center that like so. And then we will take our cross and we'll add some dimensionals to the back of this. Let me see, I want to do it where I got the flat sides of it. I want to see our dimensionals popping out from behind. Okay, and then two more. Put that one there. Okay, and then our cross will go right over this opening here, like so. And then we're going to take our lilies and we're going to add some liquid glue to the back of these. And then, so this one will kind of go over here. And then our larger one, let's see, I want to go this way. And then this one will go right over here. And then I'm going to bring in my Winka Stella. And I'm going to add that just onto my lilies here. Okay, and then the last thing that we have our God is Love. So for this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my mini dimensionals and a pair of my snips. And I'm going to take one of my mini ones and I'm going to carefully cut this in half. And then I'll bring in my Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to place one of the halves on one end and then the other one on the other, because the middle part is going to go right over the top of that cross. So let me put that down. And it kind of shifted on me. When they're that small, sometimes they're not so easy to work with unless you have a tool like this. All right, so I'm going to take these paper backings off. Okay, and then I'm going to add just a little bit of glue in the middle. Not a lot. And then I'll turn this over. And I'm going to place this right here over my cross, like so. Okay. So there is our first card. And again, this is a case. Case means copy and share everything, or it can mean copy and selectively edit, which is exactly what I did. The difference from what I did to what she did, Again, she had designer series paper that she put on her card base. Instead, I had stamped using one of the images. She used, I think it was the distressed brick embossing folder, and I used a So Swirly. And I don't know if she put, what do you call it, Winkastella on her lilies or not, but I did. And uh, the God is Love, she used a different greeting. No, actually, did she use this? She may have used God is Love, but she used a much bigger die to stamp that on. So this is my version of her card. So there's our first card. Now on to our next card, which is going to be a fun fold. So my next card, so if you take a look out on Pinterest, I have seen some demonstrators or just basically any paper crafter have created cards where it's like a pop-up type card with a cross. Um, that was the plan of what I was going to create. However, in the process of looking, I saw another cross card that was done that was a fun fold, and it was um, an easier design. Now, the other one was probably not difficult, not hard, but I decided to go with this other one. Now, this one, from what I have read, it was designed by Terry Gaines, who is another fellow Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And so this is, it's a case off of her card, and I did change it up a little bit. I couldn't do exactly what she did because the paper and the dies that she used, I didn't have. So I'm basically working with what I have. So mine's going to be just a little bit different, but as far as like the dimensions and stuff go on for the pieces, it's the same as hers. All right, so let me move that out of the way. Let me flip the page to card number 2. So the name of this one, it's a fun fold cross. So let me kind of get myself together here, and things are starting to kind of get a little messy. All right, so let me bring in all my pieces for this one. And again, the dimensions for all the pieces that I have and the score lines and everything, I have that in the description and also in that free PDF that is on my Google Drive. All right, so let me kind of move these out of the way. All right, so again, this is a fun fold cross card, and this was designed by Terry Gaines. So I have a piece of lemon lolly. This measures 8.5 by 5.5. I have scored it at 4.25 and 7.25. Then I have two pieces. This is the Petunia Pop two-tone cardstock. So one side is darker, the other is lighter. This cardstock is thinner than our regular colored cardstock. So ahead of time, what I did with this, I had embossed it using the Eyelet 3D embossing folder. And I am going to do a technique that I have found with the two-tone cardstock that I really, really like to do. Now, our regular cardstock is dyed through, so if you were to tear the cardstock, you're going to see the lemon lolly. So the core, it's dyed through fully. The two-tone cardstock, it is basically the color is printed on both sides of a piece of white. So with the embossing, I'm going to use a sanding block, and it's going to remove the color off of those raised areas. So one piece is 5¼ by 4. This is actually going to be the inside of our card. And then I have another piece that measures 5¼ by 2¾ and that is actually going to go, because our card is going to fold this way, so this will actually go on the front like so. Then I have, let's see, out of a scrap, I have a piece of lemon lime twist. There's a scrap piece. And then I have, let's see, another piece of lemon lolly. This measures 3¾ by 1¼ and then designer series paper. This is from our subtle 6x6 pack. It's this one right here. This color, this is the fresh freesia. This is one of the patterns that I chose. And then out of a scrap piece of basic white, uh, again, this was a die that comes from the Countryside Corners die. So it's this one right here. And then out of a scrap piece of lemon lime twist and basic white, I have die cut these two Countryside Corners. So I think these are these two right here. So it's not the smallest one, but it's the next two sizes. This is we're going to actually stamp on this, and then this is going to go once this is folded. This is going to kind of be like on the inside, and this is where I'm going to bring in the Courage and Fate stamp set, and I am going to stamp this greeting that says, "May the Lord bless and keep you." Okay, so we got that. And then I have another scrap piece of basic white that we are going to stamp on. And then we are going to punch out a flower that's going to come from, this is the Petal Park Builder Punch. So we're going to stamp and then we're going to punch out this larger flower right here. Okay, and I think we have all our pieces. So now, what I'm going to do is I am going to fold my card in half. Let me get my bone folder. And then this piece right here, we're going to fold this back. And we'll burnish that like so. So our card's going to open up like this. Okay. So then I am going to take these two Petunia Pop pieces of the two-tone cardstock. Now, when I embossed it, I put the lighter shade up because this is the side that I'm going to put down, and I'm going to have that I want that white to show from it. So I got the embossed side rather than the debossed side. So for this, I'm going to use a sanding block. Now, I got these off of Amazon. I do have a link for them in the description of the video. So I am going to go right over it. And you don't want to go too hard because you don't want to tear the paper. And all I'm doing is I'm removing that raised, whatever's raised on this cardstock. I'm going to sand that, and then you see that white core. So it almost gives the look as if you heat embossed this with white embossing powder, but you didn't. All you did was just dry emboss it with an embossing folder and then sand it. So there's our first piece. And then let's bring in a larger piece. Now, if you do this in a circular motion, you just want to be careful that you don't end up creasing your paper. Now you can do part of this. You don't have to sand the whole entire piece if you didn't want to. You can do just some parts of it. Okay, so there's that. So now of course you got all this paper dust all over the place. So I should have washed this beforehand, but this is a lint roller that I got off of Amazon. And I'm just going to roll this. What's nice about this, you don't need to get refills for it. All you have to do is take this off and just wash it off, let it dry, and then it's good to go. So I'm just running this over just to remove some of that loose powder that's from the paper. And then I'm going to go over my grid paper here, pick that up, because it can get a little messy. And then I'll even roll it over the sanding block. Now, it does definitely need to get cleaned because there's a lot of that paper fiber from when I did my sample card. Okay, and again, I have a link in the description. I did get those off of Amazon. You can get them in a package. I got them in a package of 8, and there's different grit sizes on it. So they do have it printed on the side of the block. So this is a 220. Okay. So then I'm going to take my card base here, get some liquid glue, and so this larger piece here, I'm going to add some glue to the back, and this is going to be the inside of the card. So you're going to see this when the card is closed. You are going to see some of this in the background. Okay, so that is going to go right in here, like so. Okay, press that down. The light Petunia Pop and the fresh Freesia. So the fresh Freesia is lighter, so I decided instead of just doing all fresh Freesia, I thought the 2 different purples would look nice on this because they're really close. And then this piece here is going to go right in here. Okay. So then I'll take this and I'm going to try and line this up so it looks a little bit even with that piece that's underneath. Okay, so then we'll press that down. Okay, and then we're going to take our bone folder, we'll burnish this down, and then flip this over. We'll get that side. So there we go. Okay, so then I'm going to take my longer piece of my designer series paper here. I'm going to add some glue to the back. Okay, and then you're going to place this right in the center here. Make sure we got an even amount. Okay. Press that down. And then for this piece of our smaller piece of our lemon lolly, we're going to take this other piece of designer series paper, add some glue to that. And this too is going to center on this piece. even a little bit of a border of that lemon lolly around it. Okay, and then, so there was a little tip or trick that she had when it came to placing this piece, because when you put your adhesive down, you only want adhesive like in this area right here where this is going to stick to this flap. You don't want any adhesive here, and you don't want any adhesive on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out where I want to put this. Let me get something. Hold on. Never mind. I know what I'm doing here. I did make this card before. So I'm going to take this part of the cross and I am going to place it wherever it is that I want to put it. So I have it inside the card like so. So this way I can see on this flap where exactly I want my adhesive to go. So I am going to take my liquid glue. Now again, I got this lined up in the spot that I want to place it. And I'm going to add my liquid glue just on this flap. I don't want to go off that flap because I just want the glue right there. And then, now that I got a little bit of glue on there, I'm going to take this and I'm going to line that up right there. Now I want this edge to be flush with this edge, the right edge of the card. And let me pick it up. Okay, and then we want to press that down. Make sure that sticks. You can also do that with some tear and tape if you'd like. Okay, so then there is our cross card. Okay, but we're not done. We got more that we're going to add to this. Okay, so then on this piece right here, I am going to stamp this with the Courage and Faith stamp set. Now this one is red rubber. The stickers are not on the block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my stamp on this block and I'm going to line this up with the bottom edge of my block. So if I line up the greeting to the bottom edge, then when I go to stamp it, if I just look at this bottom edge, if I have that straight, then my image should stamp straight. So let me just make sure that straight. Sometimes when they die cut it, like if you look at this stamp, the labels work, the stickers work great if your image is going to be in the middle of the stamp. If you look at this, when they die cut it, you can see that there's less red rubber on this side and then there's more on this side. So even if you put the label on, it's not going to exactly be lined up with the image itself. Okay, so then let me go and quickly clean this. It looks like there's a little tiny piece of speck of glitter on there. Okay. And then I'm going to bring in my Petunia Pop ink. Let's see, Petunia Pop. And then because this piece is white, I want to bring in my Pierce mat. Now again, there's a foam cushion here on these red rubber stamps, so you really don't need this when you're using those stamps. When you got photopolymer, you don't have that foam cushion on there. So then to get a good stamped image with your photopolymers, you want that foam mat. But I'm using this because this being white and my grid paper being white, I want to see exactly where it is that I'm stamping on this piece. So that's going to make it a little bit easier for me. Okay, so then I'm going to ink up my greeting. Now I'm not going to mash this. You know, in general, when it comes to our foam pads, you never want to smash the stamp into the ink pad because then you're just going to have a big inky mess. Because this ink pad is really inky, I'm just tapping it lightly. So now I'm going to line this up and hopefully I got this straight. Again, I lined the stamp up based on the bottom edge of the block. And as long as I see that the bottom edge of my block is straight with the bottom of this die cut, it should be straight. So again, you can see it's a little bit darker. That's because my Petunia Pop ink is pretty inky. Okay, so then we're going to take this and we're going to glue this down to our lemon lime twist piece. Now in the PDF, the way I took the picture, you don't see this piece. I describe it where it's on the inside of the card. If you just link back to this video, then you see exactly where it's going to go. All right, and then we're going to center this like so. Okay. And then let's open up our card. And then we're going to take this, add some liquid glue. And then we're going to place this right inside our card. And then if you want, you can write a little something right down here. Okay, so put that in there. Okay, and then we'll set that aside. Then we have, while I have the ink out, I should have done this. Let me bring in my Pearson mat. Now on this piece, I'm going to pull out the stamp that says, "He is risen. He has risen indeed." And then let me get a block. And then I'm going to stamp this too in my Petunia Pop ink. And so I don't want to mash this in there. I'm just going to tap it really, really light. And then I'm going to stamp this in the center, but over to the left. And then even when I stamp down, I don't want to mash it down because then it just looks, the letters are going to look very wide because you mash the stamp down into that. Okay. So then let's put that aside. We have that. And then I'm going to take some of my liquid glue. I'm going to add some over to the right side here. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to tuck this underneath like so. See that straight? Kind of press that down. Like I got a little bit of glue on there. Just bring in our adhesive eraser and it will remove that. Plus we're also going to be putting a flower on top of that. Okay, so we got that. Then on my piece of lemon lime twist scrap, I want to bring in the bow punch and I'm going to punch out 2 of these larger leaves here. And then the other side, and we'll get this one. Okay. Move that out of the way. So we got our 2 leaves, and let's get rid of that. Okay, and then on this scrap piece of white, again, I'm going to bring in my piercing mat. And there is a stamp image that has these rays right here. I'm going to take that and I'm going to stamp that 4 times. So I'm going to kind of do like a circle with it. And I'm going to do that in Lemon Lolly ink. Okay, let me get a block. So I'll ink that up. And I'm just going to line it up right next to each other. And stamp it the 4 times. And then this one. Stamp that right there. Okay, and then we're going to bring in our Petal Park Builder Punch. And we want to punch out this larger flower here. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to line this up in here. And you can see that you're going to see that yellow burst or rays or whatever come out of the flower. Or right there in the center of the flower, actually. Okay, so we have that. And then we're just about there. So on these 2 that I have punched out, I'm going to bring in my snips and I'm going to trim these down a little bit. So I am going to trim, let's see, I'm going to keep these 4 smaller leaves up here. So I'm going to trim this just like this. So I want these smaller ones here. And then we don't need these 2. And then I'm going to take my liquid glue and I'm going to add a little bit to the back of this. And I'm going to add one right over here. And then the other one, do the same thing. I'm going to put this in the opposite corner. So then this one will go over here. Okay, and then on my flower, I'm going to just curl up these petals a little bit. So I'm just going to pinch them a little bit where I'm kind of cupping that just a little bit. And then I'm going to get a dimensional. And we'll put that on the back. And we will put this right in the center like so. And then for my embellishments, I'm going to bring in the Tinsel Gems 3-pack. And this one color here is Fresh Freesia. Now, I use these in recent projects, and I said that this color was Coastal Cabana because, I mean, if you look at it, it looks like it's Coastal Cabana. It's kind of bright, but this color is actually Lost Lagoon. So Lost Lagoon, Fresh Freesia, and Misty Moonlight. So I'm going to take one of the larger Fresh Freesia ones. And I'm going to add that to the center of my flower. And that's it. That's our second card. So again, this is called Fun Fold Cross Card, and this was designed by Terry Gaines. Now, like I said, there's another Fun Fold cross card that's out there, but it's more like there's a block. And yeah, I don't know how that one goes together because that's not the one I did. But I saw this one, I thought, okay, this was really super cute, and I thought that this would be perfect. So there you go. So we have our cross, and it'll sit nicely on a table or a desk. And you have your little greeting here, and then you can sign your card down there. So again, this is a Fun Fold cross card that was designed by Terry Gaines. And again, I changed mine up a bit by the colors of the cardstock and the papers and stuff that I used. Okay, so now let's do our last card. And again, this is a Fun Fold as well. Let me clean up some of these stamps really quick because I know I'm going to need some of these blocks. And we don't want to get ink on any of our projects unless we're purposefully stamping. So let me quickly do this. And I probably already cleaned these, and I'm cleaning them again. So again, this is typically on Fridays. I go live at 7 p.m., but because this is Good Friday and we have a Good Friday church service at the same time tonight, this is pre-recorded. So usually whenever I have a set day that I do a video. So usually it's Thursdays and Fridays. Fridays are typically the only time that I go live. Now, there's a, well, I don't want to say there's a possibility, but I'm pretty sure it's going to, excuse me, I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. So those of you that are regularly on here with me on Friday nights, y'all know Terry Arnone, and she's going to be coming to visit Memphis. She's really good friends with Yvonne from Yvonne's Stampin' Studio. And usually, since Yvonne had moved here to Memphis, because originally she's from Burbank, California, that's where Terry lives. Terry comes out and she spends a week, and the two of them basically they celebrate their birthday. So Yvonne's birthday was this past Monday, April 14th, and Terry's is on what day is hers? I think hers is on Monday. It's the 28th of April. And so while she is here, because she comes in on a Friday, she'll then be leaving on the following Thursday. We are planning on doing a live outside of Friday night. So that Friday night, when she comes in, most likely that will probably be another kind of live like this. But then like on maybe a Saturday, maybe Saturday in the morning, afternoon, evening, or maybe a Sunday afternoon. Um, don't know exactly yet because we don't have it planned yet. We'll do a live, and Terry will be the guest stamper. Just kind of like what I did a few months ago. I think it was back in December when Yvonne was the guest stamper, where I created the projects, the samples and all that, and she actually demonstrated the cards. So we're going to kind of do the same thing. I don't know what Terry wants to do quite yet, but we'll get it all figured out. And yeah, she will be the guest stamper for that special live, and that'll be outside of a Friday. So we just don't know quite yet if it's going to be like on a Saturday or Sunday or what time, but we will definitely keep you posted. Okay, third card, our final card. So this too is a fun fold card. This one is called a center step fold card. The sample and the inspiration for this one came from Erin Hindman, and I changed mine up a little bit. She did use this set to do this, but again, the designer series paper, she had used this designer series paper, but I changed up when it came to the cross and used different ribbon and such. So again, it's casing her card, but mine is a copy and selectively edit version of it. So for my cardstock pieces, so I have a piece of 11 by 4 1/4. I have scored this at 4 1/4, 8 1/2, and 9 3/4. Then I have another piece of basic beige. This measures 10 1/2 by 2 1/4, and I've scored this at 5 1/2. Then I have I have a scrap piece of basic beige. I use basic beige ink, and I stamped that the cross with the palm image behind it. And there is a die that die cuts that, so I did that ahead of time. Then I had used, this is the Country Woods Designer Series paper. Now, this is a paper that's in our current annual catalog, and it is carrying over into our new catalog. So the solid cross, I have die cut that using a bit of a darker wood pattern of the paper. Now, all the patterns are wood, like distressed wood, painted wood. Let me show you. So this is the Country Woods Designer Series paper. And then this is the Country Lace. So we're using this paper as well. This paper, I'm not sure if this one's carrying over, but this one I definitely know the one with the wood patterns is. So I have die cut the solid cross using like a darker wood tone. And then there's this one here that kind of has the distress painted, so it looks almost like it's a maybe like Calypso coral and some of the beige in it. So again, just like I did on the other one, I added some adhesive sheet on the back of this and then die cut this detailed cross out of that. So that is going to lay right over that one as well. Okay, and then out of the Country Lace Designer Series paper, so for this pattern here, this is kind of like white with the basic beige. This piece here measures 4 by 4, and then this one is 4 by 1, and then this piece of the Country Lace, this measures 5 1/4 by 2. And then out of a scrap piece of basic white, I die cut this. This label comes from the Stylish Shape, so it's this larger one right here. And I think that's all our pieces. Okay, so I am going to fold and burnish my card base here. Okay, and then let's see. This folds up, and then this is going to fold down. Okay, so it's going to look like that. Okay, just like that. Okay, so I'm going to get my liquid glue. So this larger 4 by 4 piece, this is going to go right in here. Okay, and then that is going to go right here. So I'm basically lining the top and then the left and right side. Like so. Okay, and then this other piece of the basic beige, I'm going to fold and I'm going to burnish this. I want to make sure that it is lined up like so. Okay, and then this designer series paper, this one measures 5¼ by 2. So what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to place this on this piece of basic beige, but I am not going to put it on the piece that has the longer edge on it. I'm going to put it on where it's shorter. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because this longer piece here is actually going to go on the back of the card. So it's going to lay flush to the back of the card. Okay, so what I want to bring in to make it a little bit easier so you don't over glue this, because you don't want to do that. You won't be able to open the card right. I am going to bring in a pencil. And so I am going to line this up like so to the back of this. Okay. And then I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to take my pencil. I want to make sure that this is straight. We need it to be straight. Okay, place that down. And I'm going to lightly take my pencil and I'm going to draw that light line. So I know that when I put my glue on it, I want to go from that line down. And you can do this too with tear and tape if you would like. All right. So then again, I want to try and get this in the center. And I want to line it up flush with the base of my card. And I see that I got some glue where I didn't want it on my card base, but that's okay because I will take, once that dries, I'm going to take my adhesive eraser and I can easily remove that. Okay, but you want to make sure that you don't put any glue above this piece of the card base, because then your card will not open right. Okay, now let me get that adhesive remover. And I think I do have a link for these in the description of the video. So it's under non-Stampin' Up! Supplies. I did get this off of Amazon. And when I got this, I did get actually a few of them in a box. And this is something Stampin' Up! Used to sell. They were squares, actually. Used to sell this, but then for some reason they stopped. And usually when they do that, it's because it wasn't selling. I mean, they carried it for a long amount of time because probably everybody had one. But in my opinion, this is definitely one of those basic tools that if you're using, you know, any glue or adhesive, that you need one of these. So I have removed all of that excess glue that got on there. Okay, so then this, if you want, you can come in and you can try and erase that. But once you fold this over, you're not going to see it. So that's why, like, if you do draw a line, you know, you just draw it kind of lightly. So what's going to happen, this is going to go over and you're going to glue it to the top of this panel. You don't want to glue it behind. You're going to want it on the front. So on here, now again, this piece of designer series paper, when you put it on, you're going to see that part of it is going to extend past that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our glue And we're going to go all the way down. Now we're not going to go fully down to the very bottom. We'll get that when we go to glue the rest of this piece down. So on here, I'm going to center this. Make sure I'm in the camera so you can see what I'm doing. And we will place that down. Make sure that we got it straight. Okay. Press that down like so. And then we are going to then add, I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to see where that is, because I don't want to put glue past my finger. So I'm going to add some glue here, and I'll get a little bit on that paper. And then we're going to fold, make sure that's flat. And then we'll press this down, like so. And then you see now that we have our center step fold. Okay. And then this other piece of the Country Lace Designer Series paper, this is the one that measures 4 by 1. We're going to add some glue to the back of this. And then we are going to place this right here. And we're going to cover up that whole piece right there. I'll make sure that I got it straight, and we'll press that down like so. And then I am going to add some ribbon to this. So kind of like this area right here, we're going to cover up that area. And so I'm going to bring in, this is the Petal Pink and White 1/4 inch diagonal trim combo pack. This ribbon was part of that whole suite with the Country Woods, and I think it's Country Flowers and Country, I don't know if it was called Country Woods, but it was a big mega suite in the annual catalog. All right, so I'm going to cut a piece just a little bit longer than the width of that center panel. And I'm going to bring in my glue dots. Now, to try and wrap this around and tie a bow would just seem very bulky and very, like, not very easy. Actually, you would be kind of fighting with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a glue dot. I'm going to put it on either end. And then I'm going to also add one in the middle of my piece of ribbon too, to kind of hold that down. Okay. And then I'm going to take this and move that out of the way. And I'm going to place this down right over. So you have where you have your edges right there. So I want to line it up with that bottom step. Try to get this unstuck from my fingers. So it's going to be lined up, and I'm just going to wrap this around. Now again, I put a glue dot on the end, so it's going to hold it. And then we'll do this end as well. Just kind of lining it up with this top edge of this bottom step. Okay, so that's kind of like tucked behind there like so. Okay, and then I'm going to take another piece and we're going to tie a bow. Now the thing with this ribbon is that one side you see it looks more satiny, and then you have kind of like this back part, so it does look different. So want to try and tie this bow to where we kind of have where you're able to kind of see both of, well, you just want to see that one side. And you know what I think will work on this? Hold on. I think it will work if we use one of these. So this is, an adjustable bow maker. I did get this off of Etsy. It's a fellow demonstrator. I think her name's Tamara Davis, I think. And she goes by Tada Moments. And I had ordered this from her like quite a few years ago. So I want my bow to not be outrageously big. So I'm going to put my pins in right here. And then I'm going to take my ribbon. I'm going to kind of cross it over. I'm going to come under. And then let's see if I can get this tied to where you see just the one side of the ribbon and not the other. So tuck this under. And we may have to kind of like twist this. Slippery ribbon too. And let's see. Move this over some. Kind of tie it tight. So our ribbon and our bow, you got to kind of manipulate it a little bit so it'll lay the way we want it to. Okay. So then I'm going to trim my ends like so. And let's see, right here. Let's get that out of the way. And then when I go to put my bows down, what I'd like to do, now what we're going to do for this, so it looks a little wonky. So we're going to fix that by using our glue dots. So I'm going to take a glue dot and I'm going to put it right here at the base of this loop, like right near the knot. And then let's see which tail is going over here. Okay, so then I'm going to kind of like twist this tail and I'm going to stick it right to that, so then it doesn't look so unruly. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side, and we'll take our tail and we'll do the same thing, just so it doesn't get so unruly. Fix this a little bit. We're going to tell this ribbon who's boss. Okay. And then I'm going to add 2 more glue dots on either side of that knot because I want my bow to stay. Okay, and then let's bring in our card again. And then I'm going to place this right over the middle of that ribbon that we had tacked down. So we can move this down just a little bit like so. Okay, and then we can always take like our bone folder and we can kind of pop up these loops a little bit so that it doesn't look so squashed. And again, this bow maker, I did get it off of Etsy. The seller is Tada Moments. So where is it? Right here. Okay. All right. So then, sorry about that. I just knocked that. Let me close up my glue dots. I don't think we need these anymore. Doesn't take much for this desk to get all messy. So let me take care of my ribbon here. Again, this ribbon comes in a 2-pack. I don't even know if this ribbon has carried over or not. I'll be honest with you. Usually I'm on top of knowing, you know, what's staying and what's going in when a new catalog comes out. But because now you also got the online exclusives kind of tied in there, and you got your kids collection and all that, you kind of lose track because there's a lot to keep track of. So I apologize for not knowing. Okay, so we're going to stamp on this label here. So I'm going to bring in my Stampin' Pierce mat. We're going to use this greeting that says, "Let your faith be bigger than your fears." And we are going to stamp that in Pecan Pie ink. Let's see. There's our ink. And let's get a block. And we'll put that on there. And then let's ink this up. And then we'll stamp this right in the middle, like so. Okay. Put that aside. I'll close up our ink. Okay, and we'll get this out of the way. All right, so then I am going to remove the paper backing off of this cross here. You want to be careful with it because you got these little bits here and you don't want to tear it. Okay, and then let's flip it around. Got a piece of paper stuck on me here. Okay, and then we'll line this up. Oh, and there's paper stuck in there. Hold on. Get that out of there. We don't need that. Okay, and then we're going to line this up. Like so. And then press this down. Okay, and then we just want to press that down. I'm going to bring in my bone folder again. And we're just going to burnish that. And I apologize for the shaking. We want to make sure that this sticks down. Okay, so I like how those textures from, you know, the print on that paper, how that comes out. All right, and then we're going to add some dimensionals to the back of this. Okay, put one there. There. Okay, and then this one, we'll add there and another one on this end. Okay, and then we're going to bring in our piece of basic beige that we had already stamped and die cut. Okay, and then this is going to center right over that opening there. Something don't look even here. It looks a little crooked. Okay, is that straight? Hold on. It's bubbled up a little bit there. So press that down. So there is our focal point. And then we're going to add some dimensionals to the back of this as well. So with these fun folds, there may be a little extra bulk to them. So if you're mailing the card, you may need one of those extra ounce stamps. Okay, and then this is going to go, make sure it's straight. I'm going to place that right there. And then on our greeting, we're going to add a few dimensionals to the back of this. I'll add one more. Okay. And then this is going to fit perfectly right under here. So we're going to center this, move in so you can see what I'm doing. So this is going to fit perfectly over that designer series paper, like so. And then we have one more little bit of embellishment that we're going to add to this card. And for this one, I'm going to bring in the antique pearls. I believe these are carrying over. This is part of that Storybook Moments Mega Suite product. Let me get my take your pick tool. And so in here we have 3 different sizes of these pearls. So they're like a cream color, but then they also have a little bit of this iridescence to them. So I'm going to add a large one like over on this side, and then the medium and the small ones, I want to place them over on the other side here. Just like so. Okay, so there is our third card. This is called the Center Step Fold card. And this card was inspired by Erin Hindman. I think it's Erin Barkley Hindman. So this is our card. So this is how it sits. And you can see from the side there. But very cute. I like how this one came out, and I really like the softness of this petal and pink and this basic beige as well. So there is our third card. So let me bring in the other 2 that we did. So my first card, this was a case from what Amy Kunders had created. Our God is Love card. And then we have our cross, what was this one exactly? It was called a Fun Fold cross card. So there is another type of cross card that's out there, but this one's a little bit simpler. I'm pretty sure that one goes together pretty simple, but I like how this one comes out. So this center panel right here, you can add this if you want or not, and you can just put your little sign your card in there. But in the PDF, you don't see this particular panel. So you do, so when you see that you're die cutting, the country side corners dies in the green and the white, and then stamping the greeting in this. If you watch the video, you'll know what I'm talking about on that. But yeah, the color combination that I use is different than what she did. She did a lot of yellows and greens with white flowers on it. But this is my version of her card. So I really like how that one came out. And then the third card, this is a center step fold card. And this one was inspired by Erin, I believe it's Barkley Hinman. And yeah, this is my version of that card. I really like how this one, this kind of has that nice little rustic feel to it. So there are my projects for this Good Friday. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you haven't already done so, please give the video a thumbs up. And if you would like, share, comment, subscribe. When you subscribe, hit the notification bell. That lets you know when I either post a pre-recorded video or when I go live. All of that helps me in not only growing this channel, but it also helps me in building my Stampin' Up! Business. So again, thank you so much everyone for joining me. Have a wonderful and blessed Easter. And I should be, let's see. I may not be live next Friday. Like I mentioned earlier on, next Friday, Terry will be coming into town. So I don't know what we have planned for that evening. But if it's pre-recorded, you will see, I'll say kind of live. I'll also probably let you know, like I said, wait, next weekend she comes into town. No, she don't come next weekend. I'm getting confused as to days. Next weekend, that Friday, well, this Friday, next Friday. So next Friday she comes into town. That's right. She comes into town and it may be pre-recorded, because again, I don't know what is planned. But know that if I do a pre-record, that there will be a live where Terry will be our guest stamper. That's kind of like what we have planned. I don't know what we're going to do yet. I don't know exactly what day and time. It's either going to be a Saturday or Sunday sometime, whether, it's like a morning on Saturday or afternoon. We'll see, but we'll definitely keep you posted. Yvonne was our guest stamper. I think it was in December. So then Terry's coming into town, and yeah, we're going to do that. Now, if you are part of this, was something that was brought up last Friday in my live. If you are part of our card list. So these are people that are here usually with me every Friday in the chat box. Kind of came up about sending each other birthday cards and such. And somebody did ask if whether or not they should take their birthday card and mail it to me for Terry, since Terry is going to be here for her birthday. You most certainly can do that. If I get the card, definitely will get it to her when we celebrate both hers and Yvonne's birthday. Yvonne's birthday was on Monday, the 14th, and then Terry's is going to be, I think it's Monday too, but it's on the 28th. So if you can get that card mailed prior to the 28th, then yeah, she will definitely get it. Otherwise, if it comes after the fact, then I may have to take your card and put it in another envelope and then mail it off to her. Or if you know you're not going to get it to me in time, you can always mail it to her in Burbank, California too. So it's up to you. Again, if you are part of our list, you do have both my address and you have hers as well. So again, thank you everyone. Thank you for joining me, and everyone have a wonderful and blessed Easter Sunday, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.